Easy Rider here. Today I want to talk about changing the front tire on a 2009 Sportster Low. I already did the tire change yesterday, so what I'm going to do is just pretty much tips and tricks on how to do it, make it a little bit easier for you. And we're joined today by my dog Emmy, who's having a great time rubbing herself. Anyway, we're going to go over the tools that we need and some of the ways to make the job a lot easier. Some of the tools that you're going to need is a bike jack. You can get these at Harbor Freight or most kind of off-the-wall motorcycle places for about $60, $70. Worth their weight in gold. You get a lot of use out of them. You just simply slide it under the frame, which of course the Sportster Low is pretty low, so it didn't quite get under the frame, so I need to have my son lean the bike up on the kickstand as I put it underneath the bottom of the frame. So it's going to take probably two people to get your bike up on this jack. I've heard some guys say you could take the wheels off them, it gets down a little lower. Do what you got to do. But anyway, you jack it up on the frame. Now, before you do that, you want to loosen up the screws. So before you put it up on the jack, what you need to do is loosen up the bolts. Now the big bolt down here, your axle bolt, this is a, what size is this puppy? This is a, what's that, 15/16. 15/16, and you're going to need a ratchet for that. It's on 50 pounds from the factory, 55 foot-pounds. I had to actually step on the ratchet to break it loose. So that's why I'm saying you might not want to have it up on the jack while you're loosening up the screws. The other thing you need to do, I mean, you don't have to, but it makes life a lot easier, is to get rid of the brake caliper. The brake caliper has these funky looking nuts on them, or bolts or whatever. And I went nuts first trying to find out what the hell fits this stupid thing, because it looks like you need some kind of special off-the-wall ratchet or whatever for it. But actually it's just a 10 millimeter 12-point socket. Fits right on there. Bingo. Comes right off. All you do is take these two bolts off, and then the whole thing just pivots up. What I do is I use a bungee cord and just bungee it up to the handlebar or somewhere to get it out of the way so it's not flopping around or putting a lot of tension on the hose. Once you get that up out of the way, it's pretty simple. So you loosen up this bolt right here and just get it to where it's hand loose. Don't take it off yet. On the other side, you'll see that there's a the other end of the axle has a hole right here. Eventually you can stick a screwdriver through there to hold it in place. Now, holding the axle in place is a pinch bolt. The angle around here, this pinch bolt right here, this is a 8 millimeter Allen that goes on that side. It might not be 8 millimeter, but it fit. And on this side is 9/16 wrench, and this holds the axle in place right there. So you're going to want to loosen that up, take the bolt out, and at that point it's time to jack the bike up. Jack the bike up. You're going to have to jack it up pretty far to get that wheel down. I noticed that my tire was, you had to kind of really pull it down, so you might want to have someone hold the bike still on the lift, because those bolts kind of hit the tire, so you really got to kind of yank the tire out of there. And what you do, just pull the tire out and make sure you don't rest the tire on the rotor. You never want to rest it on the rotor, rest it on this side instead. After you get the tire off, what I would do is I would put the jack all the way back down again. Leave it under the bike, but put the jack all the way at the bottom position, because I've actually had damn bike tip over on the jack. It's not the most stable thing. And then once you have it down all the way to the bottom, I would take a ratchet strap and hold the bike in place. You can hook the ratchet straps to the little knobby things all around there that hold it up. And then you would also want to keep the kickstand down, just in case the silly thing wants to come off that thing. At least it'll land on the kickstand and won't tip the whole bike over. Then a lot of tire places where you buy the tires, it's only like maybe $25 if you bring the rim in with you, with the old tire. So that's what I did. And if you take it to Harley or something like that to get done, they want to charge you an hour and a half labor. Then they're going to tell you your brakes are bad and charge you $1 for brakes and blah, blah, blah. So what I do is, just bring the whole tire in. It's a whole lot easier. This tire here is a Shinko 777 heavy duty tire. Had a Dunlop on it, which they're okay on the front, but I've noticed Dunlops, they don't really hold up on the back. This bike here had 26,000 miles and ate through a front tire. So this Shinko 777 cost $55. The Dunlop was right around 100 something. So I figured, oh, what the heck, man. I got a Shinko actually on my son's Buell back there on his back tire, and he's going 2 years on it. Barely looks like there's any wear on it. So anyway, I like the Shinkos. In fact, I bought a Shinko 777 for the back of my Electra Glide, which you can see pretty soon is going to need a new tire anyway. So I figured, let me buy the tire while I'm at it. Anyway, so once you get the tire changed and put on the rim, blah, 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 and you bring it back home, you just jack the bike back up and slip the tire in. Now, I should have said it before. On the tire, when you're taking the tire off, you have two spacers. You got a big spacer on this side and a little spacer on the other side. Make sure that you don't bring the spacers along with you when you go get your rims changed, because you'll probably lose them. Notice on these spacers they have lines. Lines go to the outside when you reinstall them. Lines to the outside. When you put the tire back on, the first thing you want to do is you want to put this spacer on this side in, the small spacer, and then start pushing your axle through. Don't put the other spacer on yet. It's a real tight finish, a real tight fit, and you'll never get both of them on. It'll be, be there till doomsday trying to do two at the same time. So what you do is, once you get this axle kind of about a third of the way in, pivot the wheel to the left, and slip the spacer in. You'll have some room right there. Slip the spacer in, and then push the axle through. It's real simple if you do it that way. One thing that you do before you put that axle in is you want to buy yourself some anti-seize. Anti-seize. I made the mistake of not putting it on the Buell once and burned up the bearings, because I didn't know you needed this goop. It's brown and kind of nasty looking, so when I pulled it out of the Buell, I thought it was rust. I cleaned it all off and then ended up burning up the bearings. But anyway, you want to coat your axle with anti-seize. I mean, you don't need that. So anyway, put anti-seize on that axle. You can see there's still a little bit squeezing out of there, coming off it. But anyway, you want to put anti-seize. And then with the screwdriver, kind of hold the axle tight, and then start torquing down on this puppy. Use your ratchet to get it as tight as you can, and then you want to use a torque wrench. If you don't have one, Harbor Freight sells them cheap, or just borrow one from a friend or whatever. And the specs go from 50 to 55 foot-pounds. So you just torque it down. Make sure you torque it down. Last thing you want is this puppy popping off at 80 miles an hour. It's not a fun day. After you torque that down, then you want to torque your cinch bolt down. Just tighten it up as tight as you can, and then a little bit more. You could use a torque wrench too, but whatever. And that's about it. Then you got to put the caliper back on. It just slides right back on, and you just torque those bolts down, and you're pretty much done. Now, another little trick, since this is tricks, before you do anything, what I do is I put a tennis ball right here on my brake. That way you don't actuate the brake by mistake. Now, if you actuate that brake while that caliper's off, then pistons are going to pop out, and you just made yourself about another 3 or 4 hours of rebuilding a caliper and putting it all back together in the mess, man. It ain't fun. So get yourself a tennis ball. This one actually was my dog's little chase ball. Stuff it in there. It'll stay put, won't go nowhere. And that's pretty much it. And it's Sportster. It's got a brand new tire on it. It's a fun bike to ride. I know a lot of people are down on Sportsters. I have no clue why. This is a 1200 low. Sucker's got power, man. It gets 55 miles per gallon. Riding hard. And I love riding it. People, everybody's got their own little thing, man. But I like my Sportster, like my Electra Glide too. But I believe it or not, I ride probably the Sportster more, because It's just lighter, easier to ride, blah, blah, blah. My wife has a Can-Am Spider with all sorts of bags and stuff, so, you know, she can put all the junk on her bike, so I just ride this one and have a good time with it. Well, anyway, I hope that helps. Any questions, just give me a yell on YouTube there. Have a good day.